Hi, my name is Sharon Egan and I am the Education Coordinator for the Port Stephens Koala Hospital. Our Koala Hospital has been purposely built to look after the koala population in the area, and we not only look after koalas now, we look after all Australian wildlife. So we have 10 koalas in our sanctuary who won't be able to be released because of the injuries they've sustained, and we have koalas that are in the hospital at the moment that are being rehabilitated and being given medication, and then hopefully they'll go back out and live in the wild population that we have around here. The main threat that we have to koalas in Australia is habitat loss. And habitat loss can be because of the bushfires that we've had. It can be because of the development, forestry, roads, all of those things. So what we're trying to encourage some of the people around here when they're developing is to leave corridors for our animals. And road accidents are another problem that we have, especially in the breeding season. Our breeding season starts at around August and it goes till about February, can be a little bit later. And the boys are on the move usually to find a mate or a female. And younger koalas that have lived in their area are then pushed out of their area because they're at that mating stage. And so they need to move. And so when they're moving, they're travelling across the road. Where we live here is a beautiful coastal area, so we have a lot of visitors during that breeding season time. And so we're trying to encourage people that are locals, but also people that are visiting, to be mindful, especially dusk and dawn, which is where the koalas are out and about. Another problem that we have is it's a lovely place to live, and people often bring their dogs with them, and we have dogs that affect koalas. 70 to 80% of dogs, of koalas bitten by a dog, are going to die. Because of different factors. Koalas don't have a lot of fat in their body, and so they get their organs pierced by the dog's teeth. The other thing is the bacteria in a dog's mouth can infect the koala, and they die a very slow, painful death, which is quite sad. Koalas are now an endangered species in Queensland, New South Wales and the ACT, and it is predicted that by 2050 there won't be any wild koalas left in those states. A lot of the reasons, like I said, habitat loss, fragmentation, all of those things. So if we don't look after koalas and we don't develop in a different way and look after our forests, then we won't have koalas in the wild by 2050. So Marie's our longest serving resident here at the Koala Sanctuary. She was hit by a car, and when the car hit her, it hit her head, and so she has suffered sight loss, and she also has a brain injury. So Marie came in as a young Joey, so she would have only been about 12 months old, and she co-lived with another female for a while to get her used to her enclosure. So she's been in this enclosure since 2019, and she has to live by herself, so it makes her life a lot easier being blind. She can still climb a tree, she knows her way around. One thing about Marie is she has a bit of a funny tummy, so we have to be very careful about the leaf that we provide. So she has her fresh leaf for the day. So every koala gets 2 branches per day. And she also has this other leaf here, and it's not actually eucalyptus, it's paper bark. And Marie came from a paper bark forest, so it's a food source that she eats. When it's in flower, she loves to eat the flowers. They're like her lollies, and she'll search those out. But she'll sit here on the tarp because of her hearing is so good. She knows when the food is brought in, and it's an easy access for her to come to the tarp and get the best tips. All koalas love fresh tippy leaf because that's the juiciest and they have the best nutrients. So this is our main leafing shed. It's been purposely built so that the leaf stays as fresh as it can. We have to cut new leaf every 2 days. There are lots of rules that we have to follow. And today's leafing day. So this is just the leftover of the leaf until the new leafing truck comes in. All the leaf is labelled so that we know exactly what we're getting. And each koala gets 2 branches, large branches every day. And then we have some large boy koalas in particular, and they'll get an extra branch in the afternoon. Every koala, depending on where they come from, the food is chosen to supplement their right diet. So we've got some swamp mahoganies that are only grown on the coast. If a koala doesn't come from a coastal area and they're a little bit more inland, then they don't get that species because they're going back out into the wild. So for the authorities, we have to have 1,000 trees per koala in care to sustain them. So we have 30 koalas, including our 10 up in the sanctuary. So that's 30,000 trees to access, because we need the tree to regenerate and we have to keep cutting carefully. We don't go and cut into the national parks because that's for our wild population. So we have our own plantations and we're doing planting all the time, and we'll actually plant on private landholding properties if they allow us to, and then we will go and cut if needed. And if the trees are getting to a certain height, we'll go and cut so that we can keep them to be sustainable. In this enclosure, we have 5 females. It's our breeding enclosure. Out of the 5 females, you have Veronica there, who's had ocular chlamydia, and her eyes have not really healed as well to be released. She still has watery eyes, so she needs constant attention. We also have Isla, and Isla was in one of our local fires, and her nail beds were affected, and so her nails haven't grown back properly. So if a koala cannot climb very well, then normally they get euthanized, but because we have the sanctuary here, she gets to live out her days here and we get to look after her. And she can still climb, she's doing well, but wouldn't survive in the wild, especially during breeding season. We also have 2 young females who were very young when they came in, orphaned, and then weren't able to learn how to live as wild koalas. So they're in here with the other girls. And we also have Miss Sunset. She's blind in one eye, and that was a result of chlamydia infection. So what we try and get the public to do is look out for nice clear eyes and nice clean bottoms for koalas if you're lucky enough to see one in the wild. If you have any concerns, to ring the hospital or a carer from your area so that we can get onto it. They need antibiotics and then they can go back to where they come from. So we have had a boy join the girls in this enclosure recently to try and help our breeding program, and we are happy to announce that we have our very first live bred baby. So Midnight Rose and Blinky were coupled together, and we have Barubi, the baby, and she's probably 9 months old now, and they're in an enclosure away from the public because it is our hope that one day Barubi would be able to be released into the wild. These are our new facilities. We've just had an extension to our hospital wing. So we have a beautiful new area for our vet staff to work with. And this is our examination room. So animals are brought in here. They can do minor operations in the operating theatre, and then some of the other things like putting on a cast could happen at this station here. So when the public comes to visit, they can actually look through our viewing window if something's happening. One of the new additions that we have here is our new CT scan machine. This is our radiography room. So we have a beautiful new machine, and we have X-ray facilities as well as humidity cribs for animals that are really sick and need extra care. Next door we have our new operating theatre. So we've had lots of animals, so it's not just for koalas. We have birds that often need operations. So we have all of the facilities ready to go. So this is baby Lucy. Her mum Maud had a fractured arm, and we always bring mum and baby in together because Lucy's still having milk from her mum, although she's starting to live away from mum. So they're moving yards today. So these are our rescue baskets. We also use them for weighing, and they're going to move into this yard at the moment. So eventually Lucy will be taken away from her mum when it's time, and she'll learn to live on her own, and then she'll be released. So koalas don't come out of the pouch until they're about 6 months old, and then they'll start to appear at different times, and they have to be papped, which is eating partially digested food to get that gut flora into their tummy so they can deal with poisonous leaves. And then when they're about 12 months old, then mum says it's time to go. They might live nearby, but mum won't let her back into the pouch after a certain time. So you put the basket close to where we want her to go. 9 times out of 10, they'll go the other way. You go this way. Where's your head now? She's so cute. So this is Mum. So you can still, she's got a bit of a cast on still. Her arm isn't healing as well as we thought. So they'll, as soon as they go in together, they'll couple up.
Do we know what happened to the arm?
Most likely car fracture. Often we find them when we don't have evidence unless somebody stops and says, I've hit a koala or I saw a koala hit. So sometimes they're fractured and the people just drive off. So, but yeah, so it's healing. She's had a pin in and the pin's been removed and she's just got to gain strength on that arm, but it's not as easy because she has the baby on her. So she's got extra pressure on her arm. And then she's coming over and she'll just jump on her. She has knocked her off before, so. And Maudie's not as interested in her baby anymore because she's at that it's time to go stage. And then she'll eat from above her head.